Hey Dan, do you remember California Games 2? It was a sports competition game released across several platforms between 1990 and 1993, including the Super Nintendo, which is how we would play it. It was one of those games that we would rent from Rogers every now and then, and it was one of those games that sort of everybody would play together. It was developed and published by Epix as the sequel to California Games, which they'd made after the success of their Summer Games and Winter Games sports compilations. Now in California Games 2, you have 5 events: hang gliding, jet surfing, snowboarding, bodyboarding, and skateboarding, so lots of boarding. And the options you have are to play solo, where you will compete in all 5 events, trying to get the highest score possible. Play competition, where 2 players will go head-to-head in all 5 competitions. You can practice all of the individual events. And lastly, you can go into the options here and make a couple of changes. Now, you can see you can change the difficulty from 1, 2, or 3, and that affects how much time you have to score points, and also affects how many times you're allowed to fall in certain events, and a couple other things. You can turn the sound effects on and off, same with the music. And I'm running this on an emulator, and I think I have the European version because you can actually change the language between English, French, and German. So what I'd like to do is take you through all of the events one by one. So we'll go into practice event. And first up is practice hang gliding. Now the hang gliding can be pretty tricky because you have to control your elevation. Now you'll notice, there you are sort of on the right hand side of the screen, the woman in the sort of teal one-piece bathing suit with the hair blowing in the wind. But you'll notice in the background there's also a windsock, so you need to pay attention to that. To launch yourself, you press the B button, but you need to make sure you do it while the wind is active, otherwise you will simply crash. So once you're in the air, pressing up and down will change your angle, and that will allow you to drop down to gain speed or angle up to gain altitude. Pressing left will turn you back around, and turning right will turn you in the other direction. And the first thing I'd like to do is just head straight back to the cliff. You can see I haven't scored any points because I haven't really done anything. But I've lost a bit of speed. And I've wiped out. And that's okay. I wanted to show you what that looks like. And then of course the game calls you a total dweeb. So let's practice that again. And actually I'll show you another way that you can wipe out, which is if you don't wait for the wind to change direction, it will start by blowing you directly off to the side, like that. Bogus, as the fellow up in the top right-hand corner says. I don't know who he is. Maybe he's this Zach who has all the high scores. But he will provide commentary on your performance as you go through the various events. Alright, so before we launch, I'll go over the controls properly. As I said, B is launch. Now you have 2 types of water balloons. The Y button will release water balloons that are meant for the buoys, which are little targets in front of you. The A button will release water balloons meant for the dolphins, which are just past the buoys. So we'll wait for the wind to be in the right direction. And launch. So when you come down, first thing you come across are these buoys, so you can drop water balloons on them for a few points, drop some on the dolphins as well, turn back around, and we'll see if we can get enough altitude to make it back to the cliff, but we might not. Alright, and you can see as you start to slow down, you'll start to stall out. But if you make it all the way back, you get a bonus of 10,000 points, plus points based on how much time is left. You can see there's a timer up in the left-hand corner. And I'm going to try that one more time just to give you a clearer indication of the altitude system. So launching out, you can see you immediately start to do a bit of a rise, level yourself out, and then dive back down. You see you accelerate forward, and then you end up using that forward momentum while angling up to gain altitude. But again, the more you rise, you start to slow down, and then that affects your ability to rise. There we go. So very much a trick of keeping yourself at a good height with a good amount of forward momentum. And we'll do this one more time so I can show you what it looks like when you don't quite make it back to the cliff. Obviously that is the most important way to score points, because it is 10,000, which is the easiest way to score a good amount on here. Though you can also get a few from the buoys and the dolphins there. But if you don't quite have enough altitude to make it back to the cliff, then what you end up doing is simply crashing. Alright, one last time, and let's see how high we can get our score to go here. Oh, and I should say, there is nothing past the dolphins. There is just open water, so not a place you want to go to, really. Alright, so we've got a good amount of points off of there. And you can get more points by allowing yourself to start to stall out and then pulling up quickly. But that only works if you can still manage to get enough height to land back onto the cliff, which we didn't do there. Alright, let's see if we can get one final run in here with a proper landing and a good number of water balloon hits. Only managed one there. Oh, but a good number on the dolphins. May have lost too much speed. Now you only get 4 of each type of water balloon. Let's see, is this going to be enough? Don't think so. Oh, I actually crashed sooner down on the beach. Alright, launching off, diving down to get some good speed, pulling back up a bit. Alright, and you can see if you manage to get all 4 water balloons onto the dolphins or onto the buoys, Zach there will, he'll lose interest. He really only likes when you do things 3 times. If you try to do something 4 times in a row, then he will advise you to try something else. Alright, let's go. So launching out, getting some good speed going forward. Trying to get the timing on releasing those water balloons correct. those ones for the dolphins. Climbing back up, trying to get as much height as we can. We've got a lot of speed going here, and you can use that to just carry you all the way back. Which is definitely one way to do it. Alright, well that's pretty much everything for hang gliding. Next time we'll move on to the next event, which is jet surfing. Alright Dan, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.